Hello, Phantom fans. My name is Sam Olmstead. His name is Justin Irwin. This is the Dump and Chase podcast. Well, that was a weekend.
That was very interesting. Some firsts as far as I remember.
So when it's all said and done, we only have 2 games to recap. Plus, we'll talk about this weekend's 2 games in Wisconsin, and you'll hear post-game comments from Coach Patterson, plus our interview with the newest Youngstown Phantom goaltender, Jacob Fowler. So thank you for tuning in this week, either on Western Reserve Radio, YouTube, or your favorite podcast app. So, Justin, speaking of feet, I'm still working on the transitions. We'll get there. But thanks to the fine work done by the staff at Advanced Podiatry, you can limp into any one of their office locations and walk out with 2 happy feet, or at the least on your way to having 2 happy feet. And that is a lot better than walking into a horse hospital, because everyone knows what happens when you walk into a horse hospital with a bum leg.
Ooh, okay, a glue joke. Great.
Yeah. So stay clear of horse hospitals and let the experts at Advanced Podiatry help to get you back on your feet and not turn you into glue or dog food. Check out advancedpodiatry.com for office locations and appointment information. Getting into this, I have a new little toy here to play with. I'm now working with a soundboard. Could give a quick little demonstration. Justin, any good jokes you want to tell? Or
ooh, any good jokes I want to tell? No.
Here we go. So you have this woman that's hungry. She puts a couple muffins in a pan, sticks them in the oven to heat them up. One muffin looks at the other and says, "Wow, it's hot in here." The other muffin turns and says, "Wow, a talking muffin." I promise I will not abuse the power I now currently hold.
Yeah, I think we just lost about 20 viewers. I mean, we might actually killed them.
Yeah, that. So by our best guess, apparently the Covelli Center was built on an ancient Native American burial ground, and that came to fruition this weekend. Now, coming into the weekend, we had been aware there were issues with the compressors, the chillers, the fibrilators, basically the machinery that keeps the ice frozen. So, Justin, you had a pretty good account of what was happening here on Friday night. Would you care to explain?
Friday, yeah, we come in, the ice looked pretty bad. What I was told was the chiller, I guess is some sort of compressor. I don't know these things. I know nothing about ice maintenance. But yeah, they were running off of a rental unit. They thought everything was okay. It was not okay. The ice was obviously visibly not okay. So yeah, we waited, I don't know what, about an hour and a half.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so, I don't know the exact details. They got it. It looked pretty good towards the end, but there was, I guess, one area in the corner that they tried to patch up, dump some snow, water, and spray CO2 on and get that to try to solidify. And it looked okay for a second, but they put some pressure on it and it just kind of came up as a chunk, and that was it.
So, the game on Friday ended up being canceled after we had I got there at like 6:15. We were up hanging out up in the press booth. But yeah, I got there about 6:15, and it was a little before 8:30 when they finally called it and sent everybody home. So yeah, the Saturday game goes off without a hitch. On Sunday, I'm pulling into the parking lot. I get a message from you saying the power is out in the building. So I park. I'm able to get in. They couldn't scan the tickets, so they just ripped the stub off of mine. I go in. Basically just the emergency lights on. I mean, the rink did look kind of cool. It kind of looks like, I guess, what it would look like if you were watching a hockey game at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen a game played there, it looks like it's just a couple swinging shop lights above the ice that light the whole thing. But yeah, so getting in there, basically finding out Ohio Edison in Youngstown, I guess, had a planned outage from 3 to 4 o'clock. And the Covelli Center was told that they would not be affected by it since obviously there was a game to be played. Apparently that was not the case, because at 3 o'clock, the power went out. And by all accounts, Ohio Edison was surprised by this and apparently was going to look into getting it back on. And they did at about 4:15, about 10 minutes after the game was scheduled to start. Yeah, so from there, it was like they had to come out and clean the ice again. Then they had to come out and have warm-ups. They had to get them off the ice, had to get the ice cleaned again, go through all the pregame stuff and everything else. So it was about 5:15, about 20 after 5, somewhere around there when the game finally started.
Yeah, I think it was, about 5:20. I got there actually kind of early. And as I'm walking in, I'm with my mom, and she's like, I smell diesel fuel or diesel exhaust. Is there a bus nearby? And, I'm looking around. I'm like, no, that sounds like a generator. Yeah, we get in and it's there's no lighting in the hallway except for, like every third or fourth light is, on for emergency. And there's like a couple of players from each team out, on ice in like not even, warm-up jerseys or in, like undersuits and, just passing pucks around to kind of loosen up. And it was kind of a real odd feeling in the building.
Yeah, it was, again, just kind of walked around to kill time. We went back up to the press booth. We blamed the intern for everything happening that weekend. I mean, it was a fun little time.
Yeah.
I will point out, we have mentioned her before. Matt Lipsack's now former intern, Alexis, she moved on. She got an internship with the Pittsburgh Penguins, so we wish all the luck in the world to her with that. Matt's new intern, Olivia, coming in this past weekend. Great time to start. So, yeah, she took the brunt of the abuse of, taking the blame for what it all happened. So welcome to the Phantoms, I guess.
Yeah.
And this motley crew we run around with.
Oh.
One more thing I do want to say. I want to give some major props to Andrew Goldman, to Megan, to Kelsey, the office staff, organization as a whole. What happened on Friday night was not the team's fault. As much as I hate to say it, that falls on the arena. They're the ones responsible for, maintaining all of that. You don't have Andrew back there with a wrench and, a roll of aluminum ducting tape, trying to patch things up. But we were watching Andrew grow hair just so he could rip it back out again, but trying to get everything figured out on Friday. Sunday was just kind of here we go again. But I mean, those guys jumped into action. They got done what they needed to get done because, again, what happened on Sunday, that wasn't the team's fault. That was Ohio Edison.
Yeah.
Basically either giving incorrect information to the Covelli Center. I mean, those guys were incredible all weekend. I mean, they had to be at the absolute top of their game to pull off what they ended up pulling off. And I mean, and they did it. And I mean, it wasn't easy, but they almost made it look easy.
Yeah. I mean, my understanding is, they started the week coming in thinking everything was fine. And then it's like scrambling to find rental equipment for an ice rink. I don't even want to begin to try to think how you even start that. So, I mean, they did a wonderful job at getting us at least 2 games. The city, not so much.
Okay, so we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we'll dig into this past weekend with the NTDP U17 squad. Hello, Phantom fans. This is the Dump and Chase podcast.
We're trying to model ourselves after what you guys have done a little bit.
Voice of the Phantoms and friend of the show, Mr. Matt Lipsack.
I am along for the ride and perhaps provide some modicum of adult supervision here, although really that's a lost cause at this point.
We welcome back Phantoms president Andrew Goldman. That went smoother. It went smoother than it did with Matt.
I want that added. I want that added.
What are you shaking your head now for?
I'm agreeing with you because he has absolutely killed us this year.
Yeah, that's not helping. I'm trying to process. Okay.
Well, so far, finger guns has meant Sam shut up. So got to come up with a different sign for that.
Listen, that was frightening.
And we're back. So like we said, as far as this past weekend, there ended up being no game on Friday. So we'll be starting out with the game on Saturday. We'll go through the box score there. So the first period, Phantoms get the first goal in this game early on at the 2:35 mark. Kyle Bettens picks up his 10th of the season from Jaden Grant, giving Youngstown a 1-0 lead. At the 10:15 mark, USA Alexander Weirmeyer, his 6th of the season, that was unassisted. That tied the game at 1. At 17:22, Salvatore Guzzo, his first, I'm guessing, in the USHL from Hendrickson and Fine. That gave the U17s a 2-1 lead. And that's how they would go to the intermission. Shots in the period, the U17s took that 10-9. Going into the second, just downhill from there. At the 3:53 mark, Austin Bernavec on the power play, his fourth of the season from Minitane and Stramel will go with, giving them a 3-1 lead. And then at the 10:13 mark, Beckett Hendrickson shorthanded his fourth of the season. That one was from Guzzo, giving the U17s a 4-1 lead. And that's how we go to the second intermission. Shots in the period, funny enough, Youngstown led that 10 shots to 3. So 3 shots in that period for USA, 2 of them were goals. Going into the third period, Kyle Chevette was taken out. Jacob Fowler was put in, give him a little bit of ice time. Only goal in the period at 6:36. Youngstown's Charlie Lurie, his 9th of the season from Trey Taylor and Tyler Catalano, bringing the Phantoms up, only being down 4-2, but that's how the game would end. Shots in the period, Youngstown again 10-9. Total shots in the game goes to Youngstown 29-22. Special teams, Youngstown on the power play in this game, 0 for 6. The U17s on the power play, 1 for 2. Kyle Chevette stopped 9 of 13 shots in 2 periods. He takes the loss. So that brings his numbers for the season to 11 wins, 7 losses, 1 overtime loss, and 2 shootout losses, with a 2.92 goals against average and a .903 save percentage. Fowler coming in relief in the third period. He stopped all 9 shots that he faced. You don't ever want to say you should beat a team, at least beforehand. With the game being over, you can say that should have been a game that Youngstown won. And you'll hear talk about, the U17s are going to get better. And honestly, I don't think it was a case that they got better. I think Youngstown just made it very easy for them.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're obviously getting better as the season goes on, or at least as a group, but you don't want to give them time out there to, develop a plan. We scored the first goal. We looked good coming out of the gate. I think we decided at that point, we're going to cruise and win this one. We backed off a little bit, eased up, and gave them a little bit of time to think about it and figure out how to beat us, and they did. If you just keep your foot on the gas for the full 60 minutes, you don't even have to really put pedal to the metal against these kids. You just have to not really let up on them, and we did.
Okay, so moving on to the game on Sunday, I will note at the beginning, Jacob Fowler got the start in this game, so this was his first USHL start. So yeah, going into the first period, again, early on at the 1:19 mark, USA's William Vogt, his 5th of the season from Slaggert and Serrato, gave the U17s an early 1-0 lead. And then late in the period, at 18:45, Trey Taylor on the power play picks up his 5th of the season from TJ Schweikart and Shane LaChance, tying the game at 1. You're going to hear Trey's name a couple more times before this game's over. Shots in the period went to Youngstown 8-7. So going into the second period, at the 4:06 mark, and here we go again, Youngstown's Trey Taylor, now his 6th of the season and 2nd of the game from Kyle Bettens and Jaden Grant, giving Youngstown a 2-1 lead. At the 7:51 mark, Winter Wallace, his 7th of the season from Adam Ingram and Tyler Catalano, bumps Youngstown's lead up to 3-1. At the 12:13 mark, USA's Paul Fisher, his first from Serrato and Vogt, brings USA a little closer, 3-2. Then at the 18:30 mark, Youngstown's Charlie Lurie, his 10th of the season from Winter Wallace and Jaden Grant, giving Youngstown a 2-goal lead again, 4-2. And then 35 seconds later, Nick Williams picks up his first USHL goal from Shane LaChance and Chase Patella, giving Youngstown a 5-2 lead going into the third period. Shots in the period, Youngstown 12-8. So going into the third period at the 4:57 mark, Austin Bernavec, his 5th of the season from Hendrickson and Fine. That makes the score 5-3. Trey Taylor would put it away for good, picking up his 3rd of the game and an empty net, picking up the hat trick at the 18:24 mark. So that would be his 7th of the season, the assist going to Jaden Grant. So that makes a 6-3 final. Youngstown gets the win. Thank God. This would have been a very alcohol-y show if they had lost both games this weekend. But yeah, they get the 6-3 win on Saturday. Shots in the third period, USA took that 8-5. Total shots in the game, Youngstown 25, USA 23. Youngstown on the power play in this game was 1 for 3. The USA power play was 0 for 4. Jacob Fowler stopped 20 of 23 shots in the win for his first USHL win. So on the season, his record 1-0 with a 2.30 goals against average and a .906 save percentage. And I was given this little tidbit of information this morning, and I thank Matt Lipsack for this. This game was Brad Patterson's 150th victory with the Phantoms.
Wow, that's an impressive milestone.
So after the game on Sunday in our little post-game scrum, Coach Patterson was asked about Trey Taylor, with his hat trick and what he has meant to the team this season. And this is what he had to say.
He's a phenomenal, not only is he a phenomenal person and leader, but he's a terrific player. I don't know who was the last one who got a hat trick.
Chris Bradley back in 2012.
Brad's. But he does everything. He plays in every situation. He's a driver for us, and there isn't a time that he's on the ice that you feel, I don't want to say not safe, but he's one of the best that we've ever had on the back end. And with that being said, we still have a long stretch here to work together to get better. So I'm excited about his future and where it's going to go.
So I would say that Brad really likes him.
Yeah, I would say he's one of the more underrated players in the entire league.
Yeah, I mean, we harp on it so much, and actually, you'll get to hear about it next week. The interview on the show next week will be TJ Schweigart. He had a lot of things to say about why him and Trey have been working so well together. So definitely make sure you're tuning in next week for that one. That was a great interview I got to do with TJ. So we're going to take another break. On the flip side of this, we'll break down the games this past weekend in 4 points.
Miss an episode of By All Means, and you could miss a lot.
I have the sound up, and I appreciate the guys that do the work now. But it is with great appreciation I see what the guys do, not only the announcers, but also the players. So we've had wonderful playoffs. I mean, single, double, triple overtime games. It's been fantastic.
By All Means, Tuesdays at 5, right here on Western Reserve Radio and streaming live on westernreserveradio.com.
And we're back. So for listeners new and old, 4 points is where we break down the previous weekend into 4 categories: what we liked, what we didn't like, favorite moment, and 3 stars of the week. Now, Justin was going to go first, but he traded that to me for a phase 2 7th round pick, which he then traded for a bottle of Reka. So I will be batting leadoff on this one.
Best deal I've made in a long time.
So starting off with what I liked was, I guess, the third period of Saturday, and then the bulk of the game on Sunday was the defense stepping up to protect a new goaltender. When you have a goaltender behind you who's established, who's playing well, you might be a little braver you might be a little braver with your puck movement and everything else than you would typically be with a newer goaltender behind you. Now, I'm not saying that Fowler was inferior in any way, but you're putting him out there. He's only been out there for a little bit. They don't know what he's like in a game situation yet. So they're going to be a little extra protective. And all in all, I think they did that phenomenally.
Yeah, you need to protect a goaltender, 17 years old, coming into his first game. And they did it at least well enough that he was able to pick up a win on Sunday. And, what I liked Sunday, we, after that first period, we really needed to prove something, I thought. And that second period outburst, 4 goals, USA got 1 in the middle, but that was, what we needed at that time. And it was really fun to watch.
So as far as what I didn't like, the power play on the weekend, for the most part, especially on Saturday, it was almost a throwback to last season. A lot of the play was on the perimeter. They were not getting the puck to the net, and just a lot of passing around the perimeter, just almost like setting up for that perfect shot. And the funny thing was, after the game on Saturday, Brad Patterson had used the phrase that we tend to use on here from time to time. They seemed to be more concerned about making the cute plays than the plays that needed to be made. We had a 5-on-3 at one point. If I remember correctly, we didn't even get a shot. The puck was in the zone for the bulk of that 5-on-3 time, never got a shot off. And it was just a lot of trying to set up for the perfect shot, and it wasn't happening. Yeah, just everything's on the boards, everything's at the blue line, and just not really pressing the issue. And like I said, it was kind of giving me PTSD flashbacks to last year. I really hope going forward, there's a point of emphasis made that cannot be the norm, especially with a lot of these games we have coming up.
Yeah. One of those passes around at the point, if I recall, Saturday got fumbled and taken down for a shorthanded goal. That's what I didn't like this weekend. There were Saturday a few turnovers that led to goals. And, whatever the reason, we have to be a lot better. We have to control the puck. And Saturday was a bad game. Everybody, had a bad game. But, those couple of turnovers, that was 2 goals. And at least, I can't, trying to think, was it 2 or 3? At least 2. So
my favorite moment of the weekend, and we've talked about before when we have a hat trick at the Covelli Center, Justin is one of the I want to get my hat over the boards. Unfortunately, the last couple of times there has been a hat trick. He takes the scenic route to get to the steps in the next section over, and by the time he gets there, it's too late. I don't know if you do a lap around the building first before you get over there or what, but no, we reached the point, later in the game on Sunday. We knew Trey had 2 goals, and it was getting to the point that we felt that USA was going to pull their goaltender. So there was an empty net opportunity. And well, first we discussed the possibility of Fowler putting one in because it was an empty net with a 2-goal lead. We discussed that first. And then I actually helped you map out a path, an easier path going the other direction to be able, because we have the netting up above us. You're not getting a hat all the way up over the glass and up over that netting onto the ice. It's not going to happen. It's been tried.
I did one time. It was a perfect throw.
One time.
That's not going to happen again.
So we actually mapped out a path for you to go the other way, go in the other direction, and you finally was able to get your hat over the glass. We could talk about the throw at another time, but
it was my finger got hung up on the strap, and it's one of those cheap ones with the plastic strap.
Yeah,
on the back,
you had a little more body in the throw than you want. I
had to make sure I got distance because it wasn't going to get elevation at that point.
But yeah, it's been a while now, but you finally got your hat on the ice for a hat trick. That was I would say probably my favorite moment of the week. Finally seeing that old grimy thing getting thrown away for good.
Yeah. I kept the same one. I've got another one for wearing other places. I wear that one for the game. Just in case I do throw my hat. So yeah, finally out of the house. I don't have to keep spraying Lysol. My favorite moment. It had been a pretty bad weekend. Going into Sunday, we get there. Having some problems with the electricity was just kind of one of those, shrug your shoulders, whatever. My favorite moment was when the lights came on. Just kind of, okay, we might, pull this off.
Well, once your eyes readjusted to everything.
Yeah, well, you've got the emergency lighting, which, is actually pretty decent, what, Madison Square Garden lighting?
Yeah, it was more mood lighting. Once the stadium lighting came on, we'll call it. It took a little bit for your eyes to adjust. I had talked about while we were sitting there, the Halloween game where I had worn that wacky waving inflatable 2-man costume, and it had that black mesh over, the face. So it basically acted like sunglasses while I was in there. So everything was really dim from where I was looking out. And it was a very big shock. I could hear my eyeball sizzling like bacon when I took that off and realized how bright it actually was in there. But
it was kind of just a cathartic moment when, all the lights came on and, the attendance was pretty bad. But I was surprised there were still so many people left, in the building sticking it out, and everybody, kind of cheered and, warm-ups commenced.
And at the same time, I mean, there were some people a little cranky, on Friday. I can understand. You go through all the trouble, you get to the game, and then find out the game's canceled after sitting there for, over an hour. At the same time, I mean, there was some comments like on social media, and it's like, this isn't something that happens all the time. This was
the first time that's ever happened.
Well, that's what you said. This is your 10th season, and that's the first time, that's the first time you've seen that happen. So, I mean, it's not an everyday occur. It was just one of those fluke things that happened. I imagine it will be taken care of more so than it was the last time. Finally, for 4 points, we come to 3 stars of the week. So kicking it off with our third star, that will be Charlie Lurie. 2 goals on the weekend, including what ended up being the game winner on Sunday. So in 5 games he's played with the Phantoms this season, has picked up 3 goals. And unfortunately, if you look over at Ryan Alexander's stats with Fargo, I believe he has like 1 assist in 5 games or something like that. So at least in the interim, as far as we didn't have like another Cole Birch situation directly after the trade. So far, I would say Charlie has been working out pretty well for us.
Yeah, definitely. He's got a better shot than what the scouting report said. So, and he's, contributing in other areas. They've shuffled him around on lines a little bit lately. So, we'll see going forward. But yeah, he's definitely working out. So, second star of the game, Jacob Fowler.
For the second week in a row, second star of the week.
Third week, yes. Okay, I'm sorry. That's just seems so weird. Yeah, second star of the week, Jacob Fowler. Obviously, big weekend for him. Comes in relief, stops all 9. Not a perfect game on Sunday, but, the team helped him out. He helped himself out. I saw him clearing the puck out the zone a couple of times. We noticed he tried to start the rush on a power play one time. Nice stretch pass. So, obviously he's comfortable moving the puck. That's going to be a big asset.
Yeah, that was the one power play in the third period for the Phantoms on Saturday, where USA they were on the power play, but they just kind of dumped the puck in to get a change. And they all took off to the bench. The ice was completely open. The Phantoms had, I can't remember who exactly, had somebody open on the blue line. So he just basically just sent this laser from the crease to the blue line. Maybe not that open and that long of a pass on Sunday. We did see him do that a couple times. So I guess it's good that right off the bat he was that comfortable, making those plays and everything else. So first star of the week, of course, who else? That goes to Trey Taylor. 4 points on the weekend, of course, had the hat trick on Sunday. Again, this is another Matt Lipsack stat because he keeps track of all the team records and all this other kind of stuff. Very thankful that he does all of this and shares this information with us. But yeah, Trey is the second defenseman in Phantoms history to get a hat trick. The only other time this happened was Chris Bradley on January 21st of 2012. So this came 10 years and 9 days after the first defensive hat trick in Phantoms history.
Yeah, that's incredible. I wasn't even a season ticket holder when that happened.
Okay, so that is the Dump and Chase podcast 3 stars of the week, and that'll do it for 4 points. So after the game on Saturday, we got to speak with the newest member of the Youngstown Phantoms, Jacob Fowler. Florida kid, comes from Selects Academy down there, spent the last couple years in Connecticut at South Kent School, putting up some really great numbers over there. And again, like we talked about on Saturday night, made his debut with the Phantoms. So, yeah, we got to talk to him after the game, and this is what he had to say. Okay, and we're back behind the scenes here at the Covelli Center with the newest Phantom, Jacob Fowler, who got to play in his first USHL game tonight. Came in relief in the third period. So right away, I wanted to welcome you to Youngstown. Welcome to Ohio in January. You're a Florida kid. You have spent the last couple years in Connecticut. So all in all, I would say overall, you're probably you do play hockey, but you're used to leaving the rink in warmer weather than what we're having right now.
Oh, absolutely.
So we've gotten to chat a few times over the past month, my very successful Adopt an Affiliate program, which worked out really well this first time around. So thank you for that. So what was that like for you getting that phone call or whatever it was, however it was you were told that you were coming up to the USHL?
Yeah, it was an unexpected turn of events. It was late Monday night about 3 weeks ago, and, I got a call, and, that call came from a guy who, I've been meaning to talk to, and, it was great to hear from him, and within 5 minutes, it was kind of a whirlwind of events, kind of, not knowing if you're going to class the next morning or getting on a plane to come to Ohio. So I'd say it was a pretty smooth transition, but very unexpected for myself and my family.
Okay, now you came here from South Kent?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so yeah, this season, before you came to Youngstown, 15-6, 1.68 goals against, .928 save percentage. I mean, that has to say a lot about that program to not only let their top goalie go, but one of the top 5 goalies in 18U AAA. I mean, what can you say about like when coming from South Kent to here?
Yeah, the last 2 years, I don't think I could ask for anything more from South Kent, from exposure-wise to the comfort and the accountability that you have every day. And the entire staff, from Jamie Russell to Andre Ariadov all the way down to, there's a lot of new guys and new goalie coach Matt Beck. And I think every single one of the coaches and faculty members has played a part in, kind of letting me mature over the last 2 years and help me get to this point. And the biggest thing was, I wasn't the first phone call. My coaches got to find out first, and they still have 40 plus games left in their season. So I think it says a lot about the culture of South Kent and the player development that they do, and they really care about the players first and letting them accomplish what they want to do.
Okay, so like I said, you make your USHL debut tonight. Did you have any expectations kind of going into it, your first time on the ice? Was there anything out there that maybe surprised you a little that you weren't expecting?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're kind of put into a different environment, there's some uncertainty. The first time being at Covelli Center in front of fans this weekend for me, it was, it's a big change, but at the end of the day, I've been playing hockey for the last 15 years, so it's kind of just you strap it on and go do your job for however long they expect you to do it.
Fans in Youngstown get to see you for the first time tonight. What do you want the fans to know about you as we, continue on throughout this season?
Yeah, I mean, I feel that, I think I give the team in front of me a chance to win every night, and I think I'm not the craziest goalie, I'm not the most superstitious, and I feel like I bring a mentality that anytime I get on the ice, I can do play my game no matter what.
All right, well, Jacob, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
So with that, we're going to take another break. When we come back, we'll look ahead to this weekend's 2 games with the Madison Capitals.
Advanced Podiatry has been making happy feet in the Mahoning Valley for 35 years. Our offices are located in Cortland, Champion, Austintown, Columbiana, and Howland. Our Howland office has relocated to 8601 East Market Street and Howland Corners. Advanced Podiatry offers sports medicine and treatment plans for all ages. You can also request an appointment online by visiting our website at advancedpodiatry.com. Advanced Podiatry, where surgery is always a last resort.
Hey, we're back. I have to say, it's actually fun to come out of an ad break when we can actually hear an ad playing instead of just sitting silently for 10 seconds and pretending that it was a break.
We're not sitting there doing pantomime or anything like that.
It actually feels a little professional. I'm kind of enjoying it. Yeah, so this weekend, the Phantoms will be heading north to take on the Madison Capitals in a 2-game series. This will be the 6th and 7th meeting with Madison this season. This will be the last regular season trip to Madison. We will play them 2 more times at the Covelli Center in March. Yeah, so starting to wind down the Madison series. So far on the season, Youngstown is 2-3 against Madison. And because we talked about this last week, so I will bring this up, that those 5 games all came within that first block of 15 games where Madison really came out of the gate strong. They started out 10-4-1, but 2 of those losses were to Youngstown. And like we have talked about since, they've kind of fallen off the wagon a little bit. They're struggling a lot more now than they were at the beginning of the season. The last time these 2 teams met, that was on November 19th. That was a 4-2 win for the Phantoms in Madison. In that game, Jaden Grant had 2 goals and an assist. Last weekend, Madison had 2 home games, one with Chicago, one with Dubuque. They split last weekend. They beat Chicago 4-2 and then lost 3-2 to Dubuque. Madison is 5-5 in their last 10 games. Youngstown 7-2-1 in their last 10. Actually, right now, Youngstown has actually only one of 3 teams in the Eastern Conference right now who is above 500 in their last 10 games. So coming into this game overall, Madison, 18 wins, 17 losses, and 2 overtime losses for 38 points and 4th in the Eastern Conference. Youngstown, 15 wins, 13 losses, 2 overtime losses, and 3 shootout losses for 33 points, and that puts them in 5th place. Right now, they trail Madison by 3, but Youngstown has 4 games in hand. So going into having a strong showing in Madison, coming away 2 points, 3 points, hopefully 4 will go a long way, especially with those games in hand going forward, as far as jumping up ahead of Madison in the standings. On the season, Madison is averaging 3.92 goals per game, although I feel if we go back their last 10 or 15 games, that number might be a lot lower. They are giving up 4.03 goals against. Right now, they have a -4 goal differential. Youngstown averaging 3.12 goals per game. They are giving up 3.18 goals per game. And right now, they are sitting with a -2 goal differential. As far as the special teams, Madison on the power play, 23.9%. That is third in the East. Their penalty kill, 73.2. That is seventh in the conference. Youngstown's power play, 21.2%. That is fifth in the Eastern Conference. Their penalty kill, 73.4. They are now up to sixth place. So actually, their penalty kill has been ticking up little by little over the past few weeks. But the game on Friday, actually both games, Friday and Saturday, February 4th and 5th, those will be 8:05 puck drops. That's Eastern time. Yeah, and both games will be available on Hockey TV. So coming into this weekend, what are you thinking coming into this weekend with Madison?
Well, like you mentioned, they started off hot, then went cold. Now they're just kind of lukewarm, maybe found equilibrium, not, riding a high or low. It should be competitive regardless. You mentioned we've got the games in hand on them. You don't want to lose points to them at this point. So, yeah, we've got to at least come in and play competitively. Same game plan as always. Just come in, try to play our game, play at least the full 60 minutes, and we'll see.
Well, yeah, and that's, for anybody that, because we say it all the time, for anybody that doesn't know, when you say 4 games in hand, meaning they've played 4 more games than we have. So yeah, going into this week, even after this weekend is over, they will still have played 4 more games than we have. So this is, when you're trying to catch up to them in the standings, this is not a weekend where you want to leave points on the table.
No, definitely not. I don't want to say you want to try to, at least come out of the weekend with a split so you don't lose position. If you can gain, 2 or 4 points on them, all the better. But you definitely can't, lose.
Yeah, we did the show before the season started, and we talked about how it really looked like the schedule was, going to work out in Youngstown's favor this season. And I don't know. Well, I mean, with everything going on with Dubuque and Disney on Ice, and now having a couple games postponed, that one has been rescheduled. We'll have to wait for this other one with USA. Yeah, you look at like Muskegon. Yeah, they've played. They've played 37. Madison's played 37. Even making up where are these teams? They must have very front-loaded schedules if they're just that far ahead of everybody else game-wise. That we're going to be spending the rest of the season playing catch-up.
That's fine. I'm okay with that.
All right, so we are going to take our last break. When we come back, we'll preview next week's show and wrap up this episode. And we're back, and that one actually was a quick break. We don't have anything for that spot yet other than the 5 seconds of music. So yeah, that one we just sat here quietly for 5-6 seconds. So yeah, that will be all we have for this week. On next week's episode, we'll recap this weekend and look ahead to the Phantoms' final regular season trip to Green Bay for 2 games up there with the Gamblers. We're really reaching the point because we're wrapping up these series in other teams' barns. A lot of them is going to be traveling to Youngstown here in the next couple months.
There's going to be some of those long 3-game weekends like we were supposed to have.
Yeah. We'll also have an interview, like I said earlier, with Phantoms defenseman TJ Schweigart. Like I said, that was a great interview. I was really happy with how that one turned out. So make sure you're tuning in next week to hear that. Again, we want to thank our wonderful sponsors at Advanced Podiatry. Make sure to check out advancedpodiatry.com for office locations and appointment information. So as always, the Dump and Chase podcast is brought to you by hockeyfan.com. Also be sure to check out our syndication partner at ohiohockeydigest.com. These days, there are absolutely no shortage of ways to find this show. You can listen every Wednesday at 5:06 p.m. on Western Reserve Radio, either on westernreserveradio.com, the TuneIn or Live 365 apps, the Western Reserve Radio Twitter and Facebook pages, and the Phantoms Facebook page. You can also find us on YouTube and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Make sure to follow us on social media. We post fairly regularly on there. Anytime any news comes up, any stats any one of us can come up with. Yeah, you can find Justin on Facebook at facebook.com/YT Hockey Fan and on Twitter at YT Hockey Fan, both of those PHAN. And you can find me on Twitter with the handle at dump_chasepod. But easy enough, all of these links can be found on our Linktree page, which can be found in the description of however you are listening to this show. So thank you, everyone, for listening. And if you're the person listening in Germany every week, please drop us a line. I would love to know the how and why of that. So for Justin Irwin, I'm Sam Olmstead, and we will talk with you all again next week. Bye now.